The following episode contains approximately 815 spoilers for all seasons and episodes of Lost. You have been warned. Good afternoon, good evening, good night to all of our fans and listeners and subscribers. Anyone who's not a subscriber, go fuck yourself. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on all the various links. Find it in the description of wherever the fuck you're listening to this from. Before we get into it, I'm going to introduce you to my lovely co-host, Dave. Dave, say hi.
Hi, Ada. What podcast is this?
I have no idea. I think both of us are having a bit of an off day today.
You didn't even say the name of it. Welcome to Lost the Plot.
Welcome to Lost the Plot. My apologies. What am I doing? The podcast where two Irish lads talk absolute shite about ABC's hit show, Lost.
When they remember that is what they are doing.
I mean, y'all should know who we are at this stage. But if you've decided to just jump in randomly and start here, episode 18, two things. One, why? We're a rewatch podcast. We spoil the shit out of ABC's hit show, Lost. And second of all, welcome. Take a seat. Get a nice hot beverage.
Thanks for listening to us. If our episode numbers were years, our podcast could legally drink in Ireland now.
That is true. Did you wait before you were 18 before you started drinking? Or were you a good little boy and started 18?
Oh, hell no. You know I was underage drinking. My mom was a fucking tyrant, though. Like, I wasn't allowed to drink until... Do you know what? I was allowed to drink 2 or 3 weeks before my 18th because it was my best friend's 18th. And so I was allowed to go to the pub and have a pint for that because, rounding it up basically. But yeah, I wasn't allowed to before that. Whisper in to my ma for how strict she was around drinking when I was a kid. Because every person that I've met whose parents had a sensible attitude towards allowing their kids to drink supervised and stuff like that, all those kids turned out fine. And I'm all kinds of fucked up having not been around.
The science is wrong.
Speaking of drinking, hashtag cans with Jorge, one more week to get your name out there for our campaign and be in with a chance of appearing on this podcast. Yes. I wanted to mention, by the way, that you have first refusal rights. I don't want not wanting to come on. Some people might be nervous about going on a podcast. I don't want that to deter you from posting hashtag cans with Jorge and trying to get him on this podcast. We will reach out to you if we pick you at random and you can say no.
Is it really going to be at random?
I would have thought so.
Yeah. I'm not just going to go through people's profiles and be like, I like them.
The fix is in. I wasn't in on this plan here, folks. Hashtag stop the steal.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I'm not going to be doing that. I'm going to be getting usernames, putting them into a random selector online. There's a whole ton of them, and we'll pick somebody at random, right?
Hell yeah.
Of all the hundreds of people who've taken part already.
Computerized, right? Yeah, exactly. There's been me. There's been Lost in my 40s.
Yeah, there's been me as well. Oh boy, I hope they pick me. So yeah, that's our current competition going at the moment. Just spread the hashtag cans with Jorge. I will consider you extra eligible if you tag Jorge Garcia in it. You will disqualify yourself if you tag him more than once. That is harassment. We are not condoning that.
Yeah. And, maybe tag at Lost the Plot Lads as well to direct him to where he should contact us. That would also be helpful.
Oh, yeah, because if we can't find it, actually, we can search by the hashtag, can't we?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, you know what? You're absolutely right. Direct Jorge to our podcast. We want him to be a listener.
Yeah, even if he won't come on. If he listens to one episode, that'll give us the warm and fuzzies. Ada, how you doing? Any old crack?
Do you know what? I'm doing pretty good. For the whole last week, I have had the apartment to myself. It's been so amazing. My girlfriend, she's decided to just go back, visit her family for like a week. So I have gone full on feral caveman living here in this apartment.
I was going to say, I would not like to walk through it with a blue light.
No. Just stay away from my laptop. The place is filthy. There is used cups. There's plates with remnants of dinner on them from like 4 days ago still lying around. And tomorrow I have the full day off work and she flies in tomorrow evening. By the time she comes back, this place is going to be a palace. It's going to be spotless.
I bet you planned it that way as well, didn't you?
100%. Absolutely.
Hell yeah, good thing she doesn't listen.
No, she refuses to listen to this. She gets enough of me in real life. She does not need to take an extra hour and a half out of her day just to listen to me even more.
So today was the launch of our hashtag Cans with Jorge. We haven't, for the second half of season 1, we haven't.
By today, you mean the day of recording this?
Yes, correct. 1 week ago for our listeners. We haven't been this like cutting it fine with an episode in a while. We've been quite disciplined getting our episodes recorded 2 weeks at least beforehand for the second half of season 2. But we had to cancel the record last week. So it's actually been a while since we've recorded.
Yeah. And do you know what? I only felt it like yesterday because we normally have this crushing pressure to get an episode edited and released. And we're constantly chasing our tails on it. But no, for the last few days, it's been like, this is nice. It's like a little break.
Episodes edited. Nothing's recorded to edit.
Yeah. Weird.
So we're being thrown back into the cycle tonight. But yeah, no, we had to cancel last week because I got my booster shot and I got side effects this time that were not nearly as bad as the side effects from the second shot, but I just lost a full night's sleep. And I did not feel up to recording, having not slept for, what was it? It would have been about 36 hours by the time we were going to record.
It's amazing how just losing one night's sleep fucks you up for so long.
And I haven't really caught up yet. I'm still getting headaches because I had a big night at the weekend where I was up till 6 o'clock in the morning. Not a real sleep either. Yeah. Dry January is a distant fucking memory at this point.
Good man.
But, the side effects of my vaccine, that's not to say don't get the vaccine. Please get the vaccine. Please get boosted. Don't be like fucking Evangeline Lilly.
Oh, don't even get me started. Those not familiar with the actress name, it's Kate in Lost.
Yeah, this is pulled straight from the headlines of about 2 weeks ago. We're pretty behind with this. This isn't exactly breaking news, but Evangeline Lilly's been in the headlines because of her, I don't know, is it an anti-vax stance? It's certainly an anti-vaccine mandate stance, that I can glean that much.
Yeah, she attended an anti-vax mandate rally in DC.
Has she been vaccinated, do we know?
That is something I'm not certain of, but there's one particular Instagram post that seems to be particularly damning. And with your permission, Dave, I'd like to read out the caption she put with it, right?
Oh, please do.
So she posts a picture of, attendees at the rally in Washington, D.C. One guy's holding a sign that says, Vaxxed Democrat for Medical Freedom, right? And the caption reads, I was in DC this weekend to support bodily sovereignty while Canadian truckers were rallying for their cross-country peaceful convoy in support of the same thing. I believe nobody should ever be forced to inject their body with anything against their will under threat of violent attack, arrest or detention without trial, loss of employment, homelessness, starvation, loss of education, alienation from loved ones, excommunication from society under any threat whatsoever. This is not the way. This is not safe. This is not healthy. This is not love. I understand the world is in fear, but I don't believe that answering fear with force will fix our problems. I was pro-choice before COVID, and I am still pro-choice today.
Oof. A lot wrong with that. I guess I don't know how I feel about the overall sentiment. I'm agnostic on vaccine mandates. I mean, I think they should be there for healthcare workers and people like that, obviously, but damn, that in a few short weeks, that post has not aged well. If it was even, well aged at the time of posting. I mean, that Canadian trucker rally thing, that's a whole fucking thing.
That seems to have backfired immensely. Like, public opinion on that has swung in the total opposite direction to what they intended.
Well, thanks in no small part to a few fucking swastika and Confederate flags. These things, as they tend to be, has been completely hijacked by the alt-right, although but the whole thing was fucking dumb in the first place.
Yeah, I agree.
And the people doing it are very obnoxious. I actually wanted to shout out, because I was reading about this and I thought it would be important to shout out this organization in Ottawa, Canada's capital. The organization is the Shepherds of Good Hope. They're a soup kitchen in Ottawa, and they had staff harassed and assaulted by these protesters. The protesters were refused meals in restaurants because they refused to wear masks. So again, these are the dickhead-iest of the dickheads of this movement. They went to the soup kitchen because they were refused service and paying restaurants because they refused to wear masks, and they assaulted staff at this soup kitchen. And
holy shit.
yeah, so fuck these dudes. But Shepherds of Good Hope, every cloud is a silver lining. They continued their good work, and they managed to swing a massive donation drive out of it. So if you're feeling generous, you can go to Shepherds of Good Hope's website. They're an Ottawa-based soup kitchen. They do really good work in the community there, I've been told. My research has told me, just helping the local homeless and things like that. So I just thought, we can sit here and complain about this trucker convoy and virtue signal about like these conservative douchebags, but there are people on the ground there doing good work and being harassed by them, and maybe those are the people we should be signal boosting, not these fucking idiots.
Absolutely. Shout out. Use our platform for good, not just complaining.
As tempting and all as it is.
Yeah.
Now, onto those fucking Brits.
Hi, Dave's girlfriend.
Shout out.
Oh, also, yeah, I'm going to mention this on the podcast. You mentioned it on the podcast before, or did we cut it out? That time you surprised your girlfriend by being in a leprechaun costume.
Oh God, yeah, this has come back to bite me, as I knew it would, as it inevitably would.
So she posted it to her Instagram story. Sorry, listeners, it's gone by now. Okay, you ain't seeing it. But as soon as I saw it, I just sent her a DM saying, "Thank you for this."
There was a rainbow over our city yesterday, and she took a very nice picture of it and then decided to deface that picture.
Nope, she has absolutely improved the quality of that. I'm sorry. That is one of the greatest pictures ever. I mean, and if you being shopped into it was real, you are like this 17-foot tall leprechaun standing on the roof of some building with a fucking rainbow behind you. I mean, look, listen, I didn't know your girlfriend before this, still don't know her, but I just know I like this girl. I am team Dave's girlfriend on this one.
Good job, Steph. This is the worst thing you've ever done to me. I'm not making any promises. I'll tell you what. Let's swindle this into some good. If we can get 10 people, that's not asking much, 10 people that aren't me or Ado to tweet or tag Jorge Garcia's Instagram with hashtag Hands with Jorge, we'll post that leprechaun photo.
There's your incentive.
on our Instagram. Okay. At Lost the Flat Lads.
Brilliant.
I'm going to regret that.
Before we kick into the episode, I wanted to hit you with a tiny bit of trivia I discovered today.
Oh, damn. This is premature.
I'm bringing it up now because it's nothing to do with this episode. It's more to do with Lost in general, right?
Mm-hmm.
Today, well, not strictly today, but around now, this time, Matthew Fox is the same age as the guy who played his dad was when recording Lost.
Oh, damn.
And I should have looked up that actor's name.
John Terry.
John Terry, thank you. Matthew Fox is now the same age as John Terry when John Terry recorded season 1 of Lost.
Oh, hashtag do you feel old yet? That is... That's
the answer
wild.
is yes. The answer is fucking yes, I do.
That's wild.
Yeah, John Terry was 55 when he recorded season 1 of Lost, and Matthew Fox is now 55.
It's funny you say that. I think I just happened to see a photo of Matthew Fox, a recent photo today. Do you know what I say happened to? It's because I follow a bunch of like Lost groups on Facebook now because I've been chilling the podcast there. And so these things like pop up whenever I do venture into Facebook. Dude doesn't look as good as John Terry did when he was 55.
No, well, I mean, don't get me wrong. Matthew Fox looks good, but...
Yeah, he's a good looking man, so he doesn't look awful, but he certainly looks a bit more weathered than John Terry did at 55.
Yeah, well, in fairness, John Terry was plastered in all kinds of fucking makeup for the show, whereas when was the last time you saw Matthew Fox in something?
I guess it was the season finale of Lost.
Boom, there you go. Hot damn. What do you think, Dave? Do you want to get into it?
Yeah, ready to get into the episode?
Yeah, well, hold the fuck on. Do we have a listener email? Check the inbox.
Who, me?
Yeah, you. Check the inbox.
Wait, it's your host. You're reading it.
Oh, shit. It's just you logged into it last time. Okay.
Sorry.
So, okay, right. Fine. I'll check the inbox. Jeez, I have to do fucking everything around here. God damn it. Well, what do you know? It looks like we do have a listener email.
Who's it from?
So, this is from... All right. So we talk about them a lot. Y'all are familiar with our rival podcast, Lost in My 40s, right?
Beef Central here. One of those fucking hacks reached out to us with this time.
So we have a bit of beef with these guys because their podcast is just absolutely terrible and ours is amazing, right? This is beef that has been as artificially constructed as any WWE storyline. We're actually really good friends in real life, okay?
This beef is Impossible Burger. It's lab grown.
This is like a Tesco beef burger. It's pure horseshit, right?
Wait, so we have an email from Lost in My 40s?
Yes, we have an email.
It's been so long since we have gotten an email that you forgot to tee it up for the music.
Yeah. Okay.
Man,
So
this is a rickety show today. I like it.
No. I want to hear the music again. So I'm gonna do the intro. You ready for this shit?
Oh yeah.
It's time for listener email. So this week, it looks as though, yes, we do have a listener email from one Christy Armstrong of Lost in My 40s fame, our good
What's up,
friends, our
Christy?
rival podcast over in the States. So Christy writes to us saying, howdy, lads. Christy from the other podcast here. I just wanted to say that Lomo Saltado is delicious and Ado is missing out. Oh, yeah, we talked about
Ooh,
Lomo Saltado, didn't we?
Agreed. Yeah, I made it a couple of weeks ago and talked about it on the pod.
And I compared it to a spice bag.
Exactly. Have you managed to get on that yet?
No.
No, your missus is away. There's no way you're cooking Lomo Saltado while she's not around.
So Christy continues. Also, I didn't get why Sawyer called son Betty either. Yeah, there was that one episode where he calls son Betty. It was the episode in translation, and it's revealed that she speaks English and he just calls her Betty, right?
Yeah, I think we posited that maybe it was like Betty Rubble from the Flintstones. That was the best we could do.
Yeah, like Betty and Barney, dynamic duo,
Yeah,
couple,
black
all the
hair.
shit. Black hair. There you go, right? That was our best guess. So Christy writes, also, I didn't get why Sawyer called son Betty either until Lacey explained to me that it was a reference to Betty White, who had been on a show called The Liars Club. The panelists would give explanations about unusual objects, and the contestants had to determine if they were lying or telling the truth.
Ah,
I'd never heard of this.
did Betty White host it? Like,
I assume she did. This is the first time ever hearing about it.
you'd have to think people would refer to her as Betty, right? That's why Sawyer thought it was like a reference, a recognizable reference to drop.
Yeah, I'd assume so, right? She must have been integral in it in some way, right?
Ah, cool. There you go. The more you know. Thanks, Christy. Also, R.I.P. Betty White.
R.I.P. Betty White. Literally older than sliced bread.
Gone too soon.
Anyway, to finish off the email, Christy ends with, I hope you guys are having a great week and look forward to listening to you guys. Signed, Christy, not a hack, Armstrong.
Oh dear.
Smiley face. We're never going to live that one down, are we?
We're never going on their podcast again, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Christy, thanks for writing in. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Christy.
Thanks for schooling us on Betty White's career a little more as well.
And thank you for giving us the opportunity to use that jingly music again. I love it so much.
Hell yeah.
But anyway, speaking of jingly music, do you know what, Dave? I think it's time to go. So this week we are reviewing Lost Season 1, Episode 19, Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah. Is this our second Latin title?
I think so. The first one was...
Tabula Rasa.
Tabula Rasa, yes.
The second or third episode, depending on how many you count the pilot as.
Deus Ex Machina, you familiar with this phrase?
Yeah, it's like, let me try and define this because it's going to be badly defined. But like, it's like when something convenient comes out of nowhere at the end. So for example, the birds at the end of Lord of the Rings is a classic example of a Deus Ex Machina, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Directly translates as God from the machine, like a miracle artificially created in some sort of narrative plot, be it a movie, a TV show, a book, whatever. Something unexplained just happens at the very end to make everyone's problems go away when there was seemingly no solution for our hero or our protagonist. I suppose is the best way of me just randomly describing it. Whether it's accurate or not, I don't know.
Now that sounds about right to me. I can see why they might name it that, considering the final scene of this episode. But is that really a Deus Ex Machina? I mean, it doesn't solve anything. It just sort of renews Locke's faith, presumably.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on the connection to the episode.
Maybe we can discuss it more at the end and see if we can retrofit it then.
Yeah, let's go for it. The term originated from classical theater, where our heroes would get themselves into all kinds of shenanigans, and then God would literally just come down from the sky and fix everything. Like usually one of the Greek gods, or sorry, Roman gods of the Roman theater. Yeah, that's just basically where that phrase comes from. Again, connection to the episode, who knows? As we make our way through it, we might just figure it out. I doubt it. So Deus Ex Machina is, as I said, it is episode 18. Sorry, 19. I misspoke. Episode 19. And it is written by Carlton Cuse, Damon Lindelof, as I have here on the Lostpedia page, apparently. And directed by one Robert Mandel.
Ooh, have we had him before?
We have not had him before.
Newcomer. Lots of newcomers these last few episodes.
So just to borrow a phrase that you've used in the past, journeyman director, I suppose, is what I'm going to describe him as, to borrow your phrase. He's worked on a few series such as Prison Break, for example.
I feel like there's a lot of crossover between Lost directors and Prison Break directors. I guess because these were sort of the two biggest shows on TV at the time, right?
Yeah, he's only directed one episode of Prison Break, though, and it was one of the really, really bad ones, apparently. Have you ever watched Prison Break?
Nah, I've never seen it. My ma and brother were obsessed with it, with at least the first season when it was on. But for whatever reason, I just didn't watch it with them.
Yeah, season 1 is really, really good. Season 2 is a bit dodgy. Season 3 is kind of interesting, but you can feel it getting further and further away from its roots. And then season 4 is just god-awful. I stopped midway through it.
How many seasons did Prison Break go for in the end?
No idea. Don't know. Don't care. I gave up on it. It's kind of like The Walking Dead. I've no idea, nor do I care how many seasons are in The Walking Dead now. After season 1, it's pure shit. So as I said, Robert Mandel, only one episode, and this is his one. So we're going to make a good one out of this. We're going to get the most out of it.
Nice. One and done. It is a damn good episode.
Yeah, fully agree.
I wonder, is he responsible for the weird thing I noticed about this episode from the get-go was that there's a very odd transition out of the previously on Lost into the actual episode. Did you notice that?
No, I didn't.
There's no like fade to black or anything, or it just shows like, we can immediately tell it's a John Locke episode. It just shows a bunch of John Locke previously on Lost related clips. And then the first clip opens up. It's a flashback, but it's almost like it's part of the previously on Lost. There's nothing to indicate, at least not on the Disney Plus edit, that we have come out of the previously. It's just like we just transition into it very oddly.
Previously on Lost, it goes through, as you say, kind of John's story. We saw clips of him in Walkabout, crashing on the island, waking up. He's not in a wheelchair anymore. But the Previously on Lost ends with him and Boone at the hatch, focuses on Boone's face, fades to black for like a half second, and then fades out into the first scene of the episode, which is a flashback scene, right?
It's a weird transition. Do you agree?
Bit unusual, uncommon, but I didn't notice it as weird. It didn't alert me to its weirdness. It didn't make me stop and go, oh, that's fucking odd. So first scene, flashback, we just see a kid in a toy store and the camera angle changes and we see that, this kid is watching a dude set up a game of Mousetrap. Do you ever play Mousetrap back in the day?
Do you know what? I always wanted to play Mousetrap as a kid because I always saw ads for it. And for some reason, it always eluded me. It was that unattainable game. I love little Rube Goldberg machines and stuff like that. Have since I was a young boy. And I just was gagging to play this game. I never got a chance. I think I went to a creche at one point as a child. And they had a game of Mousetrap with a load of the pieces missing, which was even more infuriating. So yeah, no, I must have gotten to play it at some point in the end, but
yeah, and you cannot play Mousetrap if the pieces are missing.
No,
if any of those pieces are missing. I tried playing it at a cousin's house one time, and I don't know if it was the age I was at. I could not wrap my head around this fucking game. But we see that it is in fact John Locke that is setting up the game with possibly the worst hairdo I have seen in all my life.
The comb over king, Johnny Locke.
And do you know what he reminds me of? He actually reminds me of, have you ever seen this movie, 1 Hour Photo? Robin Williams in 1 Hour Photo.
Oh yeah, I don't think I've seen it all the way through, but I know the one you're talking about. He totally looks like him.
That is the only thing I could think of.
Is that a good movie?
I found it really enjoyable. Really, really enjoyable. It's creepy as all hell. Like Robin Williams plays basically a stalker in it. Like, I mean, you see Robin Williams' name attached to a movie, you're thinking, oh, it's going to be funny. I'm going to have a good time. No, this is not a funny movie at all.
Yeah, it's one of his serious roles.
Yeah. And he doesn't do too many of them. Or should I say, didn't do too many of them. R.I.P. Robin Williams.
What a man.
What a man. His death affected me so badly. But anyway, we're not here to talk about him. We see John Locke setting up a game of Mousetrap, and his name tag says, hello, I'm John, assistant manager.
Oh, look at him, assistant manager of a toy shop.
Yeah. And
how the mighty have fallen. He goes to work in a fucking box factory.
I know. Working for Randy. Jesus.
Although I guess that's related to his still unspecified accident that caused him to become paralyzed.
Yeah. We still haven't learned what that is. I wonder if we'll find out this episode. Spoiler alert. Nope. Anyway, so he's setting up this game of Mousetrap, and with the comb over, working in a toy store, a kid comes up to him. I don't want to say he looks like a pedophile, but he kind of does.
Let's just put it this way. If he was, he'd probably be pretty good at it.
No, I am not saying Terry O'Quinn looks like a pedophile here. What I'm saying is, if this character right here, if I was watching Lost for the first time ever, this was my first episode, and I saw this character, and he turned out to be a pedophile, I would not be surprised. But anyway, moving on from that, before I get cancelled on the air, he is showing this little kid who's very interested in how to set up a game of Mousetrap, right? You set it up just right, you spring the trap, you trap the mouse, or however the fuck the game goes. But he notices he's being watched. He's being watched by this older woman in possibly one of the most disgusting coats I've ever seen. It's like this floor-length fur coat that she just took right off some poor animal.
And we're like, hon, maybe you could pull that off, but you're also ginger.
And Locke definitely takes notice to this woman just staring at him. So he comes over to her and he's like, hey, can I help you? And she said she's looking for footballs. And you can so tell she ain't looking for footballs. She just had to try and think of something. So Locke points her in the right direction. You know, he says, I'll 8 for regulation, 15 for nerf. Numbers.
Oh, yeah, nice. Also, good assistant manager. Dude knows his aisles.
Yeah. I mean, shit, if I worked in the toy store, I'd be like, you're looking for footballs, you're in a toy store, look around. You can't be that hard, right? I mean, shit, they're probably going to be in a big net by the door. That's where I'd expect them to be. But anyway.
Do you think this lady, let's age this lady, right? She's got to be about 70 years old. Do you think the word nerf means anything to her?
Well, I don't know. Maybe her son sent her, or grandson.
How old is nerf, do you think? Because it feels like a very 90s thing to me, but that could be just because I was a child in the 90s.
Oh, they would have been like at their peak in the 90s.
Probably around a little bit before that, right?
Well, if you want to be real specific, Nerf actually came into being the same year man landed on the moon, the same year as Woodstock, 1969.
The summer of Nerf.
Yep.
I think that's what what Van Morrison was singing about. We threw a Nerf ball around the park, then we dropped some LSD.
I'm sorry, Dave. Who sings that song?
I've mixed them up. I've mixed them up with someone, haven't I? That's fucking Bryan Adams.
Bryan Adams. Summer is 69.
What does Van Morrison sing then?
Brown Eyed Girl.
Ah, yeah, you're right. Does he have some kind of song about a summer of love or some shit like that? All right, let's cut that entire bit.
But the funny thing is, Bryan Adams sings about the summer of 69. He was 10 years old in 1969. Dude was born in 1959. He's 62 years old.
Look at you with this rapid fire Googling today.
Shh, don't give away my secret.
You're pulling up Nerf's age. You're pulling up Ryan Adams' age. You're correcting me on my Van Morrison trivia.
Hold on. Everybody knows Van Morrison.
I know. I don't know why I associated him with that. Because I know as soon as you said it, I was like, no, it's Bryan Adams who sings that song.
Did I ever tell you I met Van Morrison?
No, but I'm not surprised.
He is the weirdest cunt I have ever met.
Isn't he like a big like a big COVID conspiracy guy as well?
Probably.
Why is he weird?
So Van Morrison was on his way to the establishment I worked in, right? and he was due to pull up, and he phoned ahead and said there should not be any paparazzi at all. If there are, he's not even getting out of the car.
What year was this?
Oh, he was playing in Dublin. I'm gonna say 2017, give or take a year.
So that recently, do the paparazzi really give a fuck about Van Morrison at this point?
Oh, fuck yeah.
I guess in Dublin, they'll take anyone.
Yeah, 100%. Like, that'll make it into the news, a picture of, Van Morrison walking the streets of Dublin, Absolutely. We're all about that.
To tangent on a tangent, I just want to say that Kanye West and Kim Kardashian went to the cinema in my hometown on their honeymoon.
What?
Really? If you look it up. I mean, this is me like revealing my hometown now. I guess I don't really care too much, but if you look up Kanye West, Kim Kardashian, Tullamore Cinema, there's shots of them walking into the Omniplex in Tullamore.
I'm looking at the pictures now. That's insane. You can see the Bridge Hotel behind them.
And do you know what's even wilder is if you look really, really hard in that picture in the background, you can see Pete Davidson in the bushes.
What?
That's a joke.
Who's Pete Davidson?
Oh, you don't know about this? The whole
no.
It's celebrity gossip. You don't care about it. Let's move on.
Okay. Story of Van Morrison. So Van Morrison pulls up in his car. His wife gets out of the car first, and then he gets out second. She's on her way walking into the building. Van then spots somebody who spotted him. They took out their phone just to take a picture of him. And without a word, he kind of shudders, gets back into the car, slams the door, and the car peels off.
Leaving his poor wife there.
The wife has already walked into the building. She hasn't even noticed this. And then she realized he's not by her side. She turns around. I was going to say van and car.
Well, I was going to make the joke that I can't believe he didn't show up in a van.
But Morrison and car gone. And she looks around so bewildered. And I just lean in slightly and just kind of explain to her what happened. She doesn't say a word. She just rolls her eyes, looks up to the ceiling, and just goes, and just continues on in.
Celebrities, folks, they're just like us. That's a fucking great story.
Where the fuck was I?
Locks, the lady bothering him in the shop.
Yes, lady bothering him in the shop. He asks her what she wants. She asks for footballs. He gives her directions to footballs. She says, thanks, and then fucks off, right? She clearly wasn't looking for footballs, but we don't know what she was looking for yet. Anyway, we come out of that scene. We move on to the island. Locke, I was going to say Bach and Loon. Holy shit. Locke and Boone are uncovering more of the hatch and somehow still have not discovered that the numbers are inscribed on the side of it, right?
Well, I would have thought maybe they did notice it and it just means nothing to them. There's no way they haven't seen it.
Well, maybe. I suppose, like, if they have seen the numbers, they're not really going to link them to anything.
Yeah, exactly. They're just like, okay, serial number, whatever. There's no help in getting it open.
But did you see how much progress they've actually made on uncovering the hatch? Like, a solid amount.
Well, speaking of fucking progress, there's a reason why we haven't seen the hatch in so long. Because they've been busy building something about fucking 5 foot from it.
A fucking trebuchet.
A trebuchet. I totally forgot about this. It is, I'm starting to, this feels like a stretch to me. I know, Locke, we spoke a couple of weeks ago, maybe last week, about how capable some of these survivors are. A trebuchet is a step too far for my disbelief.
Yeah, but hang on. Even Boone kind of draws attention to this. He says, I don't get you, Locke. 1 minute you're quoting Nietzsche. Now all of a sudden you're an engineer, right?
Yeah.
No one is ever going to understand John Locke.
I think that's the writers trying to cover their tracks there. You know what? This is the fucking Deus Ex Machina. If this had worked, this would have been a textbook example.
Yes. Boone even says he doesn't even think he can spell trebuchet. And John just helpfully chimes in with, it's got a T on the end.
French word, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah. Different from a catapult. Very different. Catapult is a fixed arm projectile tosser, whatever you call it. Projectile thrower. There's a word for that. I forget. Ryan, do you want to message in to us and just let me know what word I'm trying to think of? Resident fact checker.
He's already got a maths problem to solve from last week. Leave him alone.
He's still working away on it. Trebuchet is different, as in its projectile should be attached to like a rope or string, I guess, if it's a small one, but it's just different, right? Shut up. Take my word for it. So they're working away. Locke has it lined up perfectly so that when this thing goes off, it's going to gather so much momentum, it's going to crack directly onto the glass of the hatch.
And so they set this up. And Ado, I have one question for you.
What's that?
Who do you think would win? A jungle-made improvised trebuchet or one hatchy boy?
Well, we're about to get our answer very quickly. But before we find out the big revelation on who would win between those two, I want to draw your attention to a little line. Boone says something to the effect of, no, seriously, John, you never talk about yourself. And Locke says, my story would bore you. He's got bore on the brain, man. The dude is horny as fuck. This dude just wants to fuck a bore.
Also, the ironic thing about this pair of lines is that the viewers are thinking, oh, fuck yeah, Locke episode. And also thinking, I hope I never get a Boone episode again.
But anyway, Locke has the trebuchet set up perfectly. And it is nothing short of demolished.
It gets fucked up
by Hatchy Boy. Not only does it not break the glass, but here's the thing. That glass is so immovable. It is so unbothered by the impact that the vibration of that impact actually travels through the trebuchet itself and dismantles the entire thing.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
That glass is like Captain America's shield. It's impenetrable.
We had a raft burn down and then a trebuchet fall apart. This is not a good island for arts and crafts projects. If I was Claire, I would keep my baby away from that fucking crib.
It'll just fall apart and spikes will come through the baby. But speaking of spikes, in the whole catastrophe of the trebuchet falling apart and bits flying everywhere, Boone asks Locke if his leg is okay. And Locke's like, yeah, fine. Why? And then he finally looks down at it and he's got this huge hunk of metal just sticking out of his leg.
Yeah, massive piece of shrapnel. It seems that Locke has been sitting on his leg for a long time because it's gone completely dead.
Yeah, he never felt it. He never felt it in his leg. And am I the only one to think he shouldn't have pulled that out? He should have gone to Jack first to see.
Yeah. Hey. Although I guess Locke is the survivor man, he'd probably have a decent idea about whether or not it's hit an artery or something.
Maybe, but you don't know until you've pulled it out and it starts literally spurting blood like 4 feet away. Like that's how you know you've hit an artery, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
But anyway, we very quickly go to the next scene. We see Locke is bandaging himself up. This is just a little bit later. He's doing a bit of sewing work as well. I never, ever learned how to sew. Did you ever learn how to sew?
I mean, I sort of taught myself. I sewed I had a hole in my sweatpants pocket during lockdown 2020. And because I was living in those things, it was pretty important that I not have a hole in the pocket. I sewed it up and it lasted a few. I could tell it wasn't a very good job. It lasted a few days and then the hole just reappeared. So I bought new sweatpants.
I'm getting closer and closer to actually getting up off my ass and learning how to sew. Because I have a jacket where if I put my arm through one of the sleeves, there is a 2/3 chance it will actually just go straight into the lining. There's 2 holes right there that will result in me just shoving my hand into the lining of the jacket.
Actually, sewing something up is not difficult. Doing it well is the hard part, as I learned. You know, you got to be disciplined with it. You got to be patient. It's pretty easy to just, if you need something fixed, a quick fix that won't last very long, it's pretty easy to do.
But while Locke has the needle in his hand, he decides to just start randomly stabbing his leg with it. And how the fuck did they do this? Did they have a stunt double who's just impervious to pain and wouldn't flinch at all?
Maybe it's the old rubber leg again.
The old rubber leg. I don't know. That leg looks pretty fucking realistic. Although, how do I know? Lighting, makeup could do anything. But it's revealed he's lost all feeling in his leg. And then he gets a stick from the little campfire he has with embers and shit on the end of it on fire and just jams it into the sole of his foot. Nope. Nothing. Dude can't feel shit in his feet.
Mad pins and needles.
So yeah, the island giveth, the island hath taken away feeling in his legs. I mean, so far he can still walk, so I guess the island hasn't really taken that much. It's just taken away the ability to feel pain in his leg, which is actually a very interesting condition.
Yeah, he's like Superman now.
Well, there are people who have this condition. CIPA, I believe it's called. Congenital Insensitivity to Pain A. I forget what the A stands for. I think that's what it is. But yeah, it's a condition that very, very, very few people. I think like there's been something like 6 recorded cases ever where people just don't have pain receptors.
Damn.
It is a horrible condition to live with, seemingly, because people scratch their own eyes out in their sleep.
Oh shit, yeah. I think I've heard about this. Yeah, because your body needs pain. It's basically like a warning system, right?
Exactly. Like pain keeps you safe. If you know something hurts, you won't do it. If you do something that hurts too much, you could die from it, depending on what it is.
It's your body's way of telling you, don't do this, idiot.
Yeah. So anyway, that brings us to the title card glitch. Fucking glitch, man. I don't know. There was something about this episode. It particularly bothered me. But anyway, I digress. We move on. We've got Boone, who's just pestering Locke about the hatch and why the trebuchet didn't work. What if the next one doesn't work? He's just bothering Locke with all these fucking questions. And Locke lets slip that the island will tell them what to do. Boone picks up on this and he's like, wait, hold on, go back. What did you just say? And Locke just doesn't respond. We get to a flashback. Locke is following his stalker in the car park. He's like finished his shift. He's about to get into his car. And this woman in the fur coat is just standing in the distance, staring at him. And he decides to follow. And he's making his way through the cars until he gets absolutely fucking wrecked by a car hitting into him.
Amazing little fake out here.
Yeah, because every time something happens to Locke, we think, this is it. This is how he got in the wheelchair, right? No, he just gets up, brushes himself off, and he actually catches up to her and finds out that she's his mother. That's a bombshell, right?
Yeah, to find out you have ginger genes. Ugh, rough.
Disgusting, I know. So we cut to the next scene. We're still in the flashback. Locke is sitting in the diner with his mother. She's having a cup of tea, loading it with more sugar than there is actual tea in the cup. And
it's got to be compulsively, right? Like she looks like she's a little bit, I don't know, a few bats short of a Batman. I don't know. I was like batty, but batty's not the right word. Like thought of a few tools short of a shed, and they sort of got combined in my head.
Well, here's the thing: she doesn't seem to be the full shilling, playing with a full deck. A few sandwiches short of a picnic. She ends up telling Locke that he's special. He's part of a design. I was genuinely expecting her to start asking what his sun, moon, and rising were, right? It's like a screenshot of a conversation I saw on the internet recently where a guy just messages saying, hey, mom, what time of day was I born? And she responds with, stop talking to that girl. Until eventually, Locke's mother reveals that he was born out of parthenogenesis, or immaculate conception.
Jesus, Locke.
Well, here's the funny thing about the Immaculate Conception. It's not referring to the birth of Jesus or the conception of Jesus. It's actually referring to the conception of Mary, the Virgin Mary. She's the one born without sin. That's what makes her so immaculate, I think.
No, I think you're right. I think I heard something like that before. But then Jesus was also immaculately conceived, right?
Through the Lord, although Jesus is also the Lord. The Bible jumps through hoops to try and explain how they only worship one God, but it's also three people.
The writers of the Bible had no fucking clue what they were doing.
No, not a fucking clue. They did not know how they were going to end that shit. They just kept creating mystery after mystery. No idea where it was going to go.
God, the fact that people pore over that for ages, I and even make podcasts about it, like, man. Anyway, back to Lost.
So after that little bombshell that Locke seemingly has no dad, just one parent and born out of fucking immaculate conception, we cut back to the island. We've got Sawyer confronting Sun about some plant not working, quotation marks.
Sawyer's gone to visit the island naturopath. And Kate shows up, and you got to wonder if this is where it all started for Evangeline Lilly, all this anti-vax shit.
Natural herbal remedies. So yeah, Kate rocks up and asks Sun, what was that all about? And Sun reveals that Sawyer's been getting headaches, and this plant was seemingly supposed to cure them in some way.
Yeah, she says aspirin doesn't work. I was wondering here, is this the writers trying to get us nervous about the sickness?
I don't think so. I don't think so, because if they dragged it out for at least 2 episodes, then maybe to kind of plant a mystery and then solve it. But they actually ask and answer the question in 1 episode. It's just the beginning of Sawyer's journey towards prescription sunglasses.
Yeah, the only reason I ask is because I remember there was an episode, there was that named Red Shirt Sullivan, and he was complaining about, like, he was a hypochondriac, complaining about his sickness. And you, in your trivia, mentioned that the writers put that in there so that we would suspect the sickness that Rousseau mentions. And me and you were like, that went completely over our heads. And so I just thought maybe this time I was looking out for it. I was like, is that what they're trying to get at least for until the end of this episode, just to fuck with us a bit? Because Russo did mention the sickness in the last episode.
Oh, shit. I totally forgot about that. She did. So maybe. But we cut from that, Kate and Son. We cut to the caves. Kate walks up to Jack and just straight up blabs about Sawyer having headaches, right? Jack is not interested in checking Sawyer out at all because he knows that all you'll get for his trouble is a snappy one-liner, and if he's lucky, a brand new nickname.
Jack's got good banter this episode.
Yeah, and we actually find out later on that's 100% what happens.
He fucking nails it.
So we cut from that to the hatch. We've got Locke and Boone is basically just frustrated. They've been coming out to this hatch for so fucking long, working away on it, and they are getting nowhere. And it turns out the trebuchet was the straw that broke the camel's back, or the rock that did not break the hatch door.
Yeah, he even cuts across John's catchphrase. John starts to, he's essentially almost looking at the camera going, don't tell me what I can't do. And Boone's like, nah, fuck you, dude.
Yeah, he says, don't tell me what I can't do. And Boone just says, you don't get it. This is a dead end. Like, Boone's just trying to convince Locke to give it up. They're never getting into it. And Locke tries to tell him, we're supposed to, but no. Boone says, if we're supposed to open it, then why the hell haven't we opened it yet?
Boone's essentially giving him a reality check here.
Yeah, he's so over it. And Locke seems to have this kind of, just from the things Locke is saying, he seems to have somewhat of a religious belief in the island.
Yeah, that it's sort of a guiding force.
Yeah, the island will tell them what to do. They are supposed to open the hatch. Like there's some sort of destiny at play that he has an almost religious belief in. But then Locke has the trippiest freak out of all time.
I wrote down Locke's been hitting the paste, and then Boone makes the exact same joke later on in the episode.
So it all starts when he hears a plane soar through the sky. He sees it and it crashes in the distance.
Yeah, now this is like a smaller, what was it he calls it later? Like a beach trawler plane or something?
Yeah, something like this. One of these like little fucking propeller things, essentially. Like it's just a small, the exact type of plane that smugglers would use to try and fly under the radar, which funny enough is exactly what it is.
It looks like a plane you'd hijack in GTA San Andreas or something.
The Dodo.
Yeah.
That's what it's called. Or was that just GTA 3? I know that's what it's called in GTA 3, but whatever. So plane crashes in the distance onto the island, and Locke is incredulous. He asks Boone, like, did you see that? But we see Boone covered in blood.
For a split second.
Yeah, it just flashes, right? We hear something smash. It sounds like a pot or pottery. Now, this is all rapid fire. We see Locke's mother in the jungle pointing up toward the sky in her fucking floor-length fur coat. Jesus, that thing is disgusting. We see Boone looking up at the sky, covered in blood, repeating the phrase, Teresa falls up the stairs, Teresa falls down the stairs, over and over and over again.
This whole dream sequence is very like Twin Peaksy.
Right? I've only seen a little bit of Twin Peaks, but that's exactly what I was reminded of. We see Locke. Oh, hold on. I need to read out exactly as I have this in my notes. Locke is back in his wheelchair, in brackets, unhappy.
Nice.
We hear some radio static, and then Locke tries to pull himself out of his wheelchair and wakes up. It's nighttime. He's by the campfire, and he decides to go wake Boone up.
Do you want to maybe try and pick apart this dream sequence a little bit? Any thoughts?
It's a lot of foreshadowing.
Mostly for stuff that happens in this episode.
Yeah, mostly.
But I just thought it was interesting, considering what happens to Boone at the end of this episode. The island is accepting that this is the island communicating to Locke. It is sort of trying to tell him, to warn him that something is going to happen to Boone, and that maybe he shouldn't be so focused on his mission, or maybe he should at least be considering others in his focus. But I think Locke completely ignores this warning.
I mean, if there's any kind of intention behind this on behalf of the island, it's revealing to Locke that the plane is nearby, right? That can only be a sign of go here.
I guess so, yeah. Maybe instead it's telling him that Boone is expendable.
I mean, everything in this seems to be pointing Locke in the direction of that plane and telling a little bit about what's going to happen. I mean, Locke's mother in the jungle, no idea what that's about. She's the one that seems to be all about believing that Locke is part of some destiny or grand design. So that kind of fits into this. But Boone repeating Teresa falls up the stairs, Teresa falls down the stairs. What do you think is the point of that?
Well, it later serves to kind of get Boone on his side and believe him that there is something greater than the two of them at work here.
I mean, my theory here is that it's the island giving something Locke he couldn't possibly know to guarantee getting Boone on his side to get to the plane, right? This is the island not pointing John to the plane, but Boone, I think.
Interesting. Yeah, I like that take. It's also, you said this episode was written by Lindelof and Carlton Cuse. I'm guessing just by the level of nerds that they are, that they're into Twin Peaks, and that Boone repeating the phrase is the most Twin Peaksy of the dream sequence. So I guess they were just having fun writing as well.
All it's missing is Boone saying it backwards, maybe a midget or two. Like, that's all it's missing. Let's be honest. But yeah, after this, Locke wakes up, he wakes Boone up, and he's about to tell Boone that the island sent him a message. Like, you can just see it in him, like the way he's about to say something, but all he settles for is, come on, let's go. And Boone just fucking follows him. So then we cut to a flashback, and Locke is sitting in front of what we find out is a hired PI, a private investigator, who reveals that Locke's mother's name is Emily Annabeth Locke. And we also find out that Locke's mother has schizophrenia. So that instantly throws doubt on her previous statement of Locke being born out of immaculate conception. It pretty much throws doubt on anything she has said.
Pretty tragic.
It is sad. And I kind of feel bad about calling her a bit crazy earlier on in the episode, because she is not playing with the full deck. No. She does not have access to the full deck.
And schizophrenia, I mean, talk about drawing a bad hand, to continue that metaphor. What an awful thing to deal with.
Yeah. The PI then, in a dick move, essentially tells Locke, I've also found your dad. I have a full file on him, and it's right here in front of you.
But you don't want any of this shit.
I highly discourage you from reading it. Like, no, come on. He basically tries to convince Locke by saying, I've seen this 100 times. It never ends well. Are you sure you want this?
He uses very specific phrasing, though. He says, this stuff isn't always meant to be, which is a pretty, like, if you're going to say that to anyone, saying it to John Locke, he's the man. It's all about destiny with him. It's all about paths and preordained shit, So saying that something's not meant to be, it's just one way of getting John Locke to walk towards exactly what you're telling them to turn around from.
Yeah, because Locke seems to decide that his will is whatever is meant to be. And we cut straight from that to another scene of Locke rocking up to the gates in a red beetle, I might add. Or is it a beetle? Yeah, it is a beetle. It's a bug, right?
Punch buggy red.
Ow. So he rocks up to the gates of this lovely house. The gate has a fucking security guard.
Ooh, Daddy Locke is rich.
Happy days. I mean, if you discover a long lost relative and you find out that they're rich as fuck, like, let alone a parent. Happy days.
Well, does that explain why he makes an effort to have a relationship with his father, but does not give his mother the time of day?
Yeah, like we never saw him go back to his mother. Where
he
is
doesn't
she
seem interested in hanging out with her at all.
But we find out from Locke's conversation with the security guard that his dad's name is Anthony Cooper. And guard's not going to let him in. Locke says, I'm his son. Guard says, joke's on you, buddy. Anthony Cooper doesn't have a son. But Locke manages to convince him to call up to the house. And lo and behold, he's allowed in. Comes on in and finally meets his dad in this big, swanky mansion of a house with deer antlers all over the place.
Yeah, this is good casting. There's something of a family resemblance between the two men, I thought. It's not exactly... like, they're not the image of each other, but I don't know.
Shape of the head.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Yeah, there's definitely something about them. Like the way they walk as well, the shuffle from left to right. Yeah, there's some sort of a resemblance between them. I'm not 100% sure. But, like any man of his age when meeting another guy for the first time, first thing, offers him a drink. Yeah. Scotch, of course.
Ooh, scotch. Foreshadowing for what's in the hatch.
Mr. Cooper gets a couple of glasses, fires some ice cubes in them, pour some scotch, and they both sit down to ice cube-less drinks, I might add.
Oh, we got our first goof, folks.
Hashtag literally unwatchable. Do you know what? It's not even when they sit down. It's when he hands them the glass end. There's no ice in it.
Maybe it's just fast melting ice.
We see him put the ice in the. Yes, I'm focusing on this. We see him put the ice in the glass and then he hands it to him. No ice. We can see straight away this guy's a con man. Foreshadowing.
There you go. I wonder, does Jorge Garcia take ice in his cans? Maybe we'll find out when he comes on and drink them with us.
Hashtag cans with Jorge.
We still got to get our regular reference in.
Absolutely. So they sit down, they bond a little bit, and Mr. Cooper tells Locke that, well, your mother was around in the beginning, but then she fucked off and only reappeared when she wanted money. Hey, do you like hunting?
Yeah, his whole little spiel here is like painfully casual. He's like shamelessly glib, and I think Locke sort of picks up on it. His defenses refuse to go up because he's so desperate for a father figure, I guess.
He's never met his dad. This is the first time he's meeting his father. This is a huge moment in his life. But I love how when, his dad asks him, does he like to hunt? He asks him, you're not one of those animal rights nut jobs, are you?
Little does he know his son's affinity for boar fucking.
No, he loves animals, maybe a little too much. So we cut back to the island. We've got Locke and Boone. They're at the hatch. Locke is in the middle of trying to explain his dream to Boone. And Boone very pertinently asks him if he's been using any of that wacky paste that he used on him.
Yeah.
And that is a fair fucking question.
This has happened to me before where I wrote down a joke in my notes and then a character makes that same joke later on in the episode. I'm like, God damn it.
You think you slick. So Boone is really skeptical of Locke's dream until Locke mentions the name Teresa, and something about this just convinces Boone. He's like, okay, this seems legit. Let's go find that plane. So they set off. But before we get any further on that storyline, we cut back to the beach and we've got Tweedledum and Tweedledee back building the raft. We've got Jin and Michael
having a bit of banter. Jack saunters up and he's finally impressed. Do you remember a couple of weeks ago I said like he was under-impressed at the raft's progress? This is the appropriate amount of impressed he should be.
Yeah, Jack just reminds me of every dad that's trying to, look at a car for their kid who's trying to buy one for the first time. Like Jack's just walking around it, kicking the tires. Yeah, coming along nicely, Like he's not contributing anything. He's just there like, yeah, it's got my approval.
Giving his man opinion.
So Jack sees Sawyer applying a cloth to his head, a wet cloth, and notices that he's sensitive to the light as well. Doesn't really give much of a fuck. Jack just fucks off, but Sawyer calls him back, right?
Yeah, it's before that, there's a great line where Jack's like, are you sensitive to light? And he goes, I'm sensitive to you.
and Jack's just like, all right, cool, peace, and fucks off. Sawyer calls him back because, as much as Sawyer wants to just indulge himself on telling Jack to fuck off, he kind of needs a bit of help, right?
Yeah, he's in a vulnerable position here and he's trying so hard to cut through the toxic masculinity.
Yeah, but Sawyer's only trying to do that out of self-preservation. It's only because he has something to gain from this. He's got headaches. They will not go away. Aspirin and plant don't work on it. None of this shit's working, but the island does have a doctor. It just also happens to be the one guy he hates the most. So Sawyer calls him back. And it is nice to see Sawyer kind of swallow his pride because we never see this from him. There's always so much bravado around the character. But he reveals to Jack that he's worried about a tumor, which, I mean, if you don't know anything about headaches and you just hear stories of people having headaches that lead to tumors, I mean, sure, right?
Yeah, family history, as he reveals.
Yeah, he says his uncle died of a brain tumor. And Jack offers to do a couple of tests. What fucking tests could he do?
Well, I don't know. I guess what he does later on, like the pen thing with the eyes and stuff.
No, I was just thinking like tests for a brain tumor.
Oh,
like, I don't know, trepanning, like drill a hole in his skull or something. Who knows? But yeah, Jack
get Boone to do an pen tracheotomy on him.
I tell you what, we need to have a look inside your head. Locke, can you cook me up another trebuchet? So Jack does offer to do a couple of tests, but once again, as predicted, Sawyer just pulls a funny one-liner and laughs him off.
Nailed it, Jack.
Yeah, Jack offers to do a few tests, and Sawyer just says, "My insurance ran out."
And Jack's impressed with the joke. Diagnosis, dickhead.
Yeah, Jack actually handles it really well. He just laughs it off. He's like, "Huh, that's funny," and just fucks off. because he knows Sawyer's vulnerable. If Sawyer really needs the help, then he just has to wait. He'll come crawling back to him.
Yeah, shout out to Jack for being the bigger man in this episode.
Well, I mean, if he was really the bigger man, he'd take it and still help.
Yeah, but can you help someone who doesn't want to be helped?
True. No, you cannot. So we cut from that. We're back to Boone and Locke. Boone is proper freaked out that Locke knew the name Teresa. And he's like, maybe I mentioned it in my sleep. And Locke's like, yeah, maybe, but you didn't. And then all of a sudden, out of fucking nowhere, Locke just falls over in the jungle. Like, just stumbles, like he's been hard on the drink or something. Pulls himself back to his feet and finds rosary beads hanging in a tree, which is pretty random.
Never a bad time for a bit of mass.
And Boone's kind of wondering where they came from. And Locke's like, here. And just pulls like on a vine or something. And a fucking corpse falls out of a tree. This cuts us back to a flashback. We've got Locke. He's coming back to visit his dad. He pulls up and he addresses the security guard as Eddie. Eddie's like, go on in, Mr. Locke.
He's so childlike here. It's like, gonna shoot some birds today? Oh boy, howdy. I sure hope so.
It's brilliant. But like, this is some really good directorial shorthand for telling us that Locke has been coming here often since we last saw him. And he walks in on his dad getting dialysis, running his blood through a big machine filter thing.
Cooper with his fucking weaselly face.
This is so bullshit. Even when I first saw this, I knew it was bullshit. Because what is it? Cooper says to him, oh, you weren't supposed to be here till 12. And Locke says, oh, I thought you said 11. Of course he said 11. He planned for Locke to walk in and see this, just to bring it up as a topic. But we only know that because of what happens at the end. We've already seen this episode. Cooper tells his son that he needs a transplant and he's on a list, but it's a long list and he ain't getting any younger, right? So we come out of that flashback to the island. We've got Locke and Boone. They're investigating this fucking body that fell out of a tree, only to discover that he's got Nigerian currency on him, gold teeth, and a gun. What the fuck?
And he's a priest or dressed like one.
So we cut from that scene back to the beach. Sawyer is getting a damp cloth to his head. You know, there's banging and sawing and all kinds of construction work going on.
There's people putting up a tent, and no one has ever been louder putting a tent together. One guy is beating on like a bendy piece of sheet metal with a rock. I guess he's trying to flatten it. To what end? Who the fuck knows?
No idea.
But yeah, it's one of those weird lost busy work things. You know, they always have their characters doing weird fucking object work.
Yeah, but it's bugging the shit out of Sawyer so much that Kate comes up and drags him away and says, come on, you're going to Jack. And Sawyer just says, do I get a lollipop? This cuts to the caves. We've got Jack interviewing Sawyer, running a couple of tests. And by running tests, just like asking about medical history and shit like that. Sawyer reveals the headache started a few days ago. They usually hit him around the middle of the day. And Jack is testing his pupils with a light. And Jack asks a few questions. So he asks about blood transfusions. Has he ever taken pills for malaria? Has he ever had sex with prozzies?
Kate's sitting there the whole time, like, so much for doctor-patient confidentiality.
Yeah. And then Jack asks him if he's ever contracted an STI. Sawyer reluctantly doesn't answer, but Jack says, I'll take that as a yes. Jack asks him, when was the last outbreak? And that's the final straw for Sawyer. He tells him to go to hell and he fucks off. Storms out of the caves, pissed as hell. Kate is amused, but Jack just reveals Sawyer only needs glasses.
His comedic timing here is fantastic. And Jack just wins this scene.
Sawyer showed him his belly and Jack took advantage. Good at him.
It essentially goes like this. Yeah, well, when was the last time your dick was covered in sores? Fuck you, Doc. That was mean. He needs glasses.
Although it's so deliberate because, I mean, as much as Jack might want to admit it or not admit it, he's jealous of whatever Kate and Sawyer have between them. So this is just him trying to make Sawyer look bad in front of her.
Yeah, the whole thing is a pissing contest between these two.
Completely. And it's childish, and I'm here for it. So we cut to another scene in the jungle. We've got Locke. He's limping on the wrong leg. And he's stumbling over. Dude can't walk at all, right? John reveals his theory to Boone about the island giving him the ability to walk and now taking it away, right? Explains that before the plane crash, he was in a wheelchair. Ever since the plane crash, not been in a wheelchair.
Pretty big thing for him to reveal to Boone here, but I guess he feels like he needs to get him on his side again, because Boone is starting to naysay a little bit once again. He's over the Teresa thing, and he's like, dude, you can't walk. We should go back.
Yeah, but Locke is all about this. The island is pointing the way. It's pointing them in the right direction. We're supposed to go here. It's pointing them towards something they need to find. And I suppose this kind of temporarily convinces Boone. He's like, all right, fine. And he helps Boone up. So then we cut to a flashback. We've got Locke and Anthony, Mr. Cooper, his dad, and they're out just walking a field hunting.
Cooper's wearing a fucking beret.
I was going to say, what the fuck is this dude wearing?
Have I ever told you about how much like my irrational and unreasonable hatred for the beret as a hat? I think it's the worst hat that's ever been invented. And anyone who wears it, man or woman or otherwise, can go fuck themselves. I fucking hate berets.
Shit. I am so glad my girlfriend does not listen to this podcast.
Yeah, I was going to say, your girlfriend's French. She's probably very guilty of this.
She's very fond of the beret. Go on to my Instagram page. I'm sure there's a few pictures of her there. We're in this scene. Locke and his dad, they're out hunting. They've got shotguns walking through some poor fucker's field. And yeah, they're just doing a bit of hunting, bit of father-son bonding. But Locke's dad basically just so artificially steers the conversation towards his own mortality. He's like, hey, you remember I'm dying, right?
Yeah, it's pretty shameless. He's like, I'm sure I'm glad we got to spend time together. Time. I don't have a lot of that.
And if you didn't suspect anything shifty before, this should set you off, right? This should set off the alarm bells.
Yeah, he's playing Locke like a fiddle here. Poor lad.
We cut from the flashback back to the jungle. Boone is sick of carrying John, sets him down just to rest up for a little bit. And this is where Boone finally reveals who Teresa was. Locke mentioned he had a vision of Boone saying the name Teresa over and over again. Teresa falls up the stairs. Teresa falls down the stairs. Boone reveals that Teresa was his nanny as a kid. And she took a bad step at the top of the staircase where his bedroom was and fell down the stairs, broke her neck when Boone was 6.
Yeah, Boone also reveals that he's a fucking psychopath, because, am I wrong? He sort of implies that he did this, right? That he tormented her into falling down the stairs, basically.
Well, he doesn't seem very broken up about the whole story anyway.
Nah. Are we sure him and Shannon aren't blood related? Because she's a psycho too, remember?
But Locke then reveals that he wasn't listening to a single fucking word, because he just starts laughing and pointing over Boone's shoulder.
Yeah, and Boone's pissed off and he grabs him. And I'm like, oh yeah, I guess Boone just realized that he confessed to breaking this woman's neck, essentially. So now he has to, take care of Locke.
Yeah, he grabs Locke. What the hell is so funny? And that's when Locke points behind him and they see the plane stuck at the top of a cliff, and it's upside down and shit.
Yeah, it's like a viney sort of cliffside. There's branches and vines coming out of it. It looks a bit like where Sawyer was trying to drop the suitcase that time, but less leafy. Less
leafy, less viney, but if you fell from that height, you'd be fucked, right?
Yeah, you'd be pretty fucked up, even with a plane to cushion you.
Speaking of fucked up, this brings us to a flashback in the hospital. We've got John in a bed, in a gown, hospital gown. In a bed next to him is his dad, and we find out that John Locke is donating his kidney. I specified John Locke because I've been kind of alternating between referring to him as John and Locke differently, just in case anyone's getting confused. I know I am. And he's going through with this. He's doing the incredibly altruistic thing of donating a kidney to his dad. And his dad says, see you on the other side, son. Like, he's so thankful. He's so happy. He's the cat that got the cream.
And John Locke literally says here, like, it's okay. This was meant to be. It's like, no, the dude told you. The private investigator told you that these things are not meant to be.
He has been manipulated in a con of epic proportions. This dude could be a professional con man, right?
Yeah, Locke sure has been conned here. Sawyer would have an opinion on this con.
Yeah, Sawyer was a con man. I wonder if there's any connection. So we cut from that to the present day. We're on the beach. Jack walks up to Sawyer and basically, Sawyer's like, give it to me straight, Doc. And Jack says, you've got hyperopia. And Sawyer fucking shits a brick. He's like, hyperopia? Oh no. Like, what is it? Jack just says, you're farsighted. He doesn't drag it on for too long. He doesn't torture Sawyer for too long.
Although he does have fun with them.
Yeah, he has a little bit of fun. And he only phrased it as hyperopia just to fuck with him a little bit.
Yeah.
Like the look on Sawyer's face when he hears hyperopia, he's all kinds of worried. But Jack has brought a few different pairs of glasses.
A few? The cunt's got a huge box of them. There's so many pairs.
Right. So anyone not Irish listening to this, a few can refer to anything between 3 and 1 million.
Infinity.
And I think Jack has a number of glasses that fall somewhere in that range.
Yeah. I honestly, it looks to be about 15 to 20 pairs to me.
And a plane full of people, that's as many glasses as you'd expect, right? I'd actually expect more.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. Now that you've made me think about the numbers.
Like, how many people wear glasses? Like, at all, not just people who only need them to read or drive or whatever, like people who just wear glasses at all. What percentage would you say?
I don't know, you gotta take like old people into account. It has to be most people, right?
I'm gonna Google that now real quick. Holy shit!
It's high, right?
Yeah. It's including contact lenses.
I mean, yeah, because people who wear contact lenses need glasses.
Okay, if we take contact lenses out of it, actually, no, include contact lenses.
Leave them in.
We're at 75% of adults.
Yeah, I would have said so because old people, right?
Yeah, only 1 in every 4 people don't require glasses.
Pretty much everyone needs them at some point for reading, at least.
I had to wear corrective lenses as a child for a short period of time. And I remember very specifically, like, I was a kid because they said Paddington Bear on the side of them. But yeah, ever since then, I have had what one optician has described as mutant vision. I shit you not. It was when I was getting my eyes tested for my driver's license. And the optician was just throwing like all the usual battery of tests at me, like the vision tests. And I was just acing every single one. And they were like, you have got mutant vision. You have got unusually good eyesight. And I'm like, sweet.
My girlfriend has something similar. She was told she has better than 20/20 vision.
I don't know. I just feel kind of special. So Jack pulls out a few glasses and just gets Sawyer to try on a few of them until we find a good one. And some of these are fucking ridiculous. Like there's one in particular that I'm like, oh, there was a woman in her 50s from Florida who owned those. Like they're just so bad. And Sawyer can't seem to find one that works just right. So we cut to a scene of Saeed essentially like welding 2 halves of different pairs of glasses together.
Should have gone to Iraqsavers. It's the best I could come up with. The best Specsavers Saeed pun I could come up with.
That was terrible.
Yeah, it was awful. But yeah, Saeed's got his little lens maker business, a little montage.
Yeah, dude's like MacGyver welding these 2 glasses together, like melting the plastic into each other.
I'm telling you, Saeed has no lines in this episode, and Hurley has one line. Both of them do what they do best.
Yeah, Saeed makes something out of fucking nothing. He makes a pair of glasses with the right prescription, and when Sawyer tries them on, Hurley's just walking by and says, "Dude, it looks like someone steamrolled Harry Potter."
I laughed so, like, I didn't laugh for an extended period of time, but I just went, ha! I think I pretty much laughed the exact same time and way that Kate does.
It is a great line. And Sawyer's just like so embarrassed.
Sawyer fucking deserves it as well. Hurley, one fucking, like, I don't know, what is that? Like 4 or 5 words the entire episode, and he's the MVP.
So Hurley makes his joke. Kate belly laughs. Sawyer whips off the glasses. He looks up at Jack. He's like, "You're loving this, aren't you?" Just expected Saeed to come in with, "Yes." But he doesn't. Jack just, as you said, he's the bigger man, just gives Sawyer a pat on the shoulder and walks away. And oh my goodness, we get a close-up shot of these glasses and they are ridiculous.
And here we are, the resolution to from our last Latin titled episode, funny enough, the resolution of Sawyer missing Eddie Mars' heart by despite being fucking point blank range.
Shit, I never made that connection.
Yeah, I just thought of it now, but it was tabula rasa, right? That he shot him.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. So we cut from that scene. We're back to the jungle plane. Boone is climbing up to it. John is offering the incredibly useful "hang on" when Boone slips a little. Go on, John. You got this. You're so helpful.
Boone's a great climber, though. Damn.
Oh, fucking hell. I would not have been able to do that. Boone gets up to the plane. He looks inside, removes a door. He climbs in. He finds a map of Nigeria, and the plane just tilts forward and a corpse falls on him. Another one. And with the whole commotion that's going on up there, with the plane is shifting as it's, held in the vines, John tries to stand up, barely manages. And as he's walking, he looks as though he's either shit his nappy or he's wading through water. Reminds me of a teacher I used to have, an old French teacher. We called him Huggies as a nickname because he always looked as though he wore a nappy or a diaper for you Americans. So Boone's in the plane. He finds a crate full of statues of the Virgin Mary, and they are all filled with little baggies of heroin.
Yeah, he throws one out of the plane. It splits open on the ground, and somewhere across the island, Charlie sits bolt right up.
A sense of disturbance in the force. I mean, yeah, heroin. This could be a good drama for any possible heroin addicts among the survivors, like, I don't know, Kate. But Boone cleverly goes to the front of the plane after it's tipped forward, right? And he reckons he might be able to use the radio equipment because, yeah, he's in a plane. There's radio equipment here. Like, this is genius.
Do you think that was his intention, or did he just kind of wander into the front to check if anything was up, and then he's like, oh damn, a radio?
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is. I don't think he went there specifically for the radio. I think he was just checking out the plane, discovers the radio, and finds out it fucking works, because the plane starts tilting more, but Boone's not getting out. He needs to get the fuck out, but he gets on the radio and he's like, oh, we're the survivors of Oceanic Flight 815, and we hear a man on the radio. Did you hear what he says?
Enlighten me.
He says, we're the survivors of Oceanic Flight 815.
Oh.
That is some good foreshadowing right there. It's not really clear what he says because there's a lot of commotion. The plane is basically coming down, right?
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I didn't catch it this time because I figured you'd tell me. But yeah, I forgot about that. That's fucking awesome.
The subtitles say that. And then I looked on trivia later on. Oh boy, the trivia section for this is good, right? But the trivia reveals it as well. That's what he says. He says, it's basically repeated back to him. We're the survivors of Oceanic Flight 815.
Boone goes, what?
Yeah. And then the plane falls. The plane crashes down. Locke finally manages to get up off his ass and do something-ish. He kind of limps over to the plane, hauls Boone out.
The island has given him back his ability to walk in exchange for Boone, which it earlier was like, dude, you should kill this guy.
Locke gets up, hauls Boone out.
Boone is all kinds of fucked up.
Yeah, he ain't doing too good. He's a little bit worse for wear, covered in blood, barely conscious. And despite only just now getting back the ability to walk, Locke hauls him up onto his shoulders like a fireman carry.
What a fucking tank.
Yeah, lazy bastard. Conveniently now he's able to walk. We come back to the caves. We've got Kate and Jack joking around about Sawyer. She thanks Jack for helping him. Jack says he didn't do it for him. What do you think that means?
He did it for Kate?
What, just to make himself look good for Kate?
Well, she did come to him quite concerned at the start of the episode about Sawyer's health.
Didn't do it for Sawyer, but just because it was a favor Kate asked. Okay, yeah, I get that.
I think so. But
Jack doesn't get the opportunity to elaborate on that anymore. Locke comes in with Boone.
What a tank. How far must he have walked with this cunt?
Yeah, because they're out in forgive the pun, they're out in the boonies, right? They're out in the middle of fucking nowhere on the island. Now, I know the island itself is in the middle of nowhere, but they are where none of the survivors have ever gone before.
Yeah, they imply that even when they find the rosary beads, right? Boone's like, did one of our camp hike out here? And Locke goes, not all the way out here.
No, they are miles away.
Imagine being Boone and like surviving a plane crash only to have a stationary plane crash kill you.
He's killed by a non-functioning plane crashing. Like, holy shit, that's bad luck. So Jack instructs Locke to set him down in a certain spot. Jack tears open Boone's shirt and he is fucked up.
Oh, he is split the fuck open.
Yeah, he ain't doing too good.
Did you pause on it? I didn't take the time to, but it looked pretty bad. Like, it looked like he was fucking cracked open.
It's blink and you'll miss it. It's all centered on his chest. There's skin ripped all over the place. You don't really get to see what it is. It just seems to be, I don't know, general guts. I would have said it was intestines if it was lower down.
Yeah. Just a massive gash, and Kate can barely look at it.
Yeah, she is horrified. And that kind of tells us all we need to know, because I mean, this show is not intended to be all kinds of gory and shit, but the story is told through the reaction of the other characters. So Jack turns back around. He's looking for Locke. He's like, tell me exactly what happened. But Locke is gone.
He's not going back to jail again.
No. Do you know where he's gone? He's gone back to a flashback. We have Locke waking up post-operation. He's in the hospital, looks over to his loving dad, who is mysteriously not there. The bed is there, but it's neatly made. There's no one there. And the nurse kindly informs Locke that Mr. Cooper checked out and is having private care at home. And Locke is all kinds of confused here. He's like, wait, what? This isn't supposed to happen. And then out of nowhere, Locke's mother appears. And he's like, what are you doing here? What? You're not supposed to be here. And she drops the bombshell on Locke that he's essentially been conned and she was in on it, needing the money. I have to say, this scene was actually difficult for me to watch.
Yeah, conned out of a fucking kidney. Terry O'Quinn is devastatingly good here, like his performance.
Being conned out of a kidney is one thing, but by his own actual dad.
Yeah, a dad he thought never gave a shit out of him, then found him, and his dad feigned giving a shit about him, only to fucking steal his kidney. Locke is one of the most tragic characters on the show.
We've said it before, and it's so true. Like, Locke's story is just tragic. Imagine the feeling of rejection he has now.
And he's felt rejected his entire life, essentially.
I mean, if this happened to me, I would straight up not be having a good time.
You got to think, and I know we don't find out this episode why he got put into the wheelchair, but when Locke found out he was a paraplegic finally, he probably just thought, yeah, of course.
like he's just been strung with so much bad luck. He'd be like, wakes up one day in a wheelchair. Oh yeah, this tracks.
Yeah.
But you want to talk about Locke's acting? The very next scene, we show Locke speeding up to the gates of his dad's house. Eddie, the security guard, refuses to open the gate for Locke, but you can see how heartbroken he is to refuse him.
He knows that what's happening here is really fucked up. And can I just say that we see the blood like leaking through Locke's shirt? That cunt he's been a tank since day one.
Yeah, this dude has just popped a few fucking stitches in hauling his ass. Like, he probably should have been in hospital for a bit longer to recover. Like, he just had major surgery. He just had a kidney removed. And here he is jumping straight into his car to drive to his dad's house. Eddie won't let him in, but does have to do his job and tells him, your car's blocking the driveway, you need to leave. But I think that's just an excuse. Like, who the fuck else is going to come up and try and get in? But Eddie's got to do his job. He's probably got kids to feed. He's got food to put on the table. He's got to do his job. He ain't going to get fired. So he tells John that he's got to go. I'm sorry, man, but you got to go. And the acting from Terry O'Quinn here as he's driving away, banging on the steering wheel, absolutely raging.
Our boy TOQ, he absolutely elevates this show beyond any sort of hokey little network TV show. The actors on the show really give it the prestige, I think, that it earned and the place in television history that it occupies as well. The cast in the show fucking rule.
Do you know, I've said it before. You can disagree with me all you want. I still believe that Jack could have been played by almost anybody.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But Locke, no, absolutely no. Terry O'Quinn he's
another level.
He's indispensable here. Like, this show would not be what it is without him.
100% agree. We
cut back to the island. Locke is at the hatch. He's banging on it. He's like, why? This is supposed to happen. This is my destiny. He's giving it all this shit again. And the music, did you pay attention to the music here? It's a variation on Locke's theme, but it's the same music in the flashback immediately before it, continuing into this. It's continuing the emotion, the same emotion. And there's something about the music. It just moves me. It's phenomenal. Fun fact, the title of this exact track is Locked Out Again.
Nice.
And as Locke is banging on the hatch, it lights up. The window lights up and Locke stops. Boom. Lost.
Boom. That's it.
That's
it.
It.
That whole ending sequence, the music, the editing, the direction, and that final shot of Locke on the hatch where the light appears, just an amazingly composed shot as well. Heartbreaking ending to this episode, and everyone involved really made it so.
I have made it no secret that I was incredibly jealous of all the episodes that you get to host. for this, but I'm so glad I got this one because even the last Locke episode, Walkabout, it went on to be a thing in television, the Walkabout effect, where Walkabout, I think it was episode 4, right? That's the episode that if you get as far as watching that one, you are hooked on Lost or you're out. It's the episode that brings you in.
It's the make or break episode. Like, you're either going to like this show or you're not. Walkabout decides that.
And this episode, man, this second Locke episode, holy shit, so good. What are your thoughts, first of all?
It was just, it was amazing. I mean, I can't believe this is the only episode this guy directed. What's his name? Robert something?
Robert Mandel.
Because he just did a stand-up job. Terry O'Quinn, we've gushed about him enough already, but holy shit. Yeah, just adding to the layers of tragedy with Locke. The A story, them chasing up the plane and stuff like that. I don't know. It added some new mysteries to the island, which is nice. Like, what the fuck is the deal with this plane?
Yes.
These are mysteries we do get answered, which is nice. The whole people on the other side of the radio as well. Fucking awesome. The B story, again, it just balances out the sort of emotional heft of the A story. This hilarious little subplot about Sawyer getting glasses. This was a fucking great episode. It's really well written. Lindelof and Hughes outdid themselves here. This is a top-notch episode of Lost. One of the best of season 1, I think.
We haven't been ranking the episodes. I feel like we should have been doing that, like according to different categories or something to get an overall score. But
yeah, maybe we can do. Maybe if we have a little season 1 wrap up, we can do so. Might be something in the works there.
Yeah, let's look into it. But this episode would be right up there with the best.
I think so. Top 5 for sure. It's amazing.
Easily.
Definitely top 5 of the ones we've watched so far. Now, maybe the ones after this will blow this one out of the water.
Now, here's a thought, right? Do you think that light in the hatch, that's our Deus Ex Machina?
Yeah. So we said we were going to speak on this. I mean, I posited this at the start that it's like, it's a sign that Locke gets when he asks for it. It renews his faith. But really, does it solve anything? I thought the implication of a Deus Ex Machina is that it solves a problem inexplicably.
Yeah, maybe. But the light coming on in the hatch, it just reignites Locke. So, yeah, I don't know if it solves anything, but it definitely lights a fire under us.
I'll tell you another Deus Ex Machina from the fans' perspective is it's a nice, tidy episode to get rid of fucking Boone.
Boone's not that bad.
Nah, he's not. And I think we should maybe have a proper post-mortem on his character next week. Spoilers, obviously. This is the last we'll see of Boone. He doesn't survive the next episode, but he gets a little emotional send-off. And I think that maybe we should pay a small tribute to him next week and talk about our thoughts on his character and his arc overall.
Yes, we should. And since that's your host, I'm expecting you to do full preparation. Do you want to get into some meaty trivia?
Oh, you got a meaty trivia? Damn, I'm loving this. The trivia is finally getting better. Let's smuggle some trivia in little baggies and Virgin Mary statues.
Okay, maybe you should script those in future. Okay, so not all of this is amazing trivia, but I always include the ones that I find the most interesting. And man, I just couldn't cut any of these out, right? So first of all, I'm going to start with one of the more interesting ones. The events of this episode, excluding the flashbacks, obviously, begin on day 39 of being on the island and run through day 41. Day 40 would have been Halloween.
Hey.
I just like that. I just find that interesting.
And to celebrate, Anthony Cooper dressed up as a father who gives a shit. Also, Sawyer dressed up as steamrolled Harry Potter.
All right, next one. Anthony Cooper's license plate reads 4TRI019, the same as the license plate on the hearse in Terminator 3. In which John Connor, Kate, and the Terminator escape Green Lawn Cemetery. I have no idea where in the episode we're able to see Anthony Cooper's license plate, but there you go, apparently.
Terminator 3 is the shitty one, right?
It's the one with the female Terminator who makes her boobs bigger when someone approaches her in her car.
Oh, yeah.
That's literally all I remember.
That was
a formative memory.
Yeah, that's the formative word I'm looking for. That was pretty formative for me.
Yeah. Next trivia point. Locke says normally clothing would completely decompose within 2 years, but this is high quality polyester. Could be 2 years, could be 10. However, in the episode House of the Rising Sun, Jack says it takes 40 or 50 years for clothing to degrade like this when talking about Adam and Eve.
I did think about that. Inconsistent.
Yep, because the writers hadn't a clue what they were doing. So, next trivia point. When Locke finally gets to confront his mother, we first see that there's a flyer on his windshield and it says lost dog. On the island, Locke finds a dog, Waltz, using a whistle. Connections, boy.
You gave me shit for saying that Josh Holloway was in a cologne commercial, and then you come with this.
Hey, shut the fuck up. I'm going to the next one. I got plenty to go through, boy, and I ain't got all night, right? This is the first episode to be co-written by Lindelof and Hughes.
Hey.
Now, there's one for you, right?
Yeah. I mean, I gathered that, but yeah, that is pretty significant.
Now, here's one I did not pick up on. I had to read the trivia online before I went, oh, yeah. Emily Locke was admitted to Santa Rosa Mental Health Institute.
Is that the same one Hurley was in?
Yes, it's the same hospital Hurley visited in the previous episode.
Awesome. Love that.
The immediately preceding episode. Shit. Now, this one's going to be a spoiler for season 2, right? The voice heard on the radio transmission that Boone picks up is revealed in season 2 to have been Bernard. However, the voice is clearly not that of actor Sam Anderson. This is most likely because the part had not yet been cast.
Of course. Yeah.
And my final bit of trivia is John tells Boone that they were meant to find the Beechcraft. That's what they call it, Beechcraft.
Beechcraft, yeah, that's it.
The private investigator earlier tells Locke, this stuff isn't meant to be, referring to seeking out Cooper. Locke tells Cooper that their being together was meant to be. So a lot of things meant to happen, not meant to happen. There's a lot of them in this episode, right?
Yeah, I picked up on that.
Now, you might think my last bit of trivia there is a little bit lukewarm, but I got some goofs up my sleeve.
Ooh.
Damn, boy, you thought I was finished? I ain't finished. We got some goofs. We got some
Goof me, baby.
fuck-ups. We got some major fuck-ups in this. Literally unwatchable. Ruined my whole experience. At the beginning of the episode, the very first scene, we've got Locke in the toy shop, sets up the mousetrap game, and then he triggers it just before he goes and approaches the woman we find out to be his mother. The mousetrap sound loops over Locke and Emily's conversation more than once. It takes about 10 seconds from when the bucket is kicked to the mouse being trapped. Their conversation lasts 25 seconds, meaning the sound was looped about 2.5 times. Disgraceful.
Wow. How can Lindelof and Carlton Cuse show their face at Comic-Con ever again?
How do they sleep at night? I mean, wait till you hear this next one, right? Now, this is the prop department fucking up this one, right? Emily's driver's license says expires on birthday. And it also says expires on 20th of March, 1994. However, according to the same card, her date of birth is the 15th of October, 1940. Literally unwatchable.
Seems like something that would have been easy to notice and fix.
Yeah, like it actually has the words expires on birthday written on it. And then 2 dates that clearly just do not match up. This is the most egregious one that is easily the most noticeable, and yet I did not notice it. In the scene on the beach where Jack talks to Sawyer about his headaches, Matthew Fox wears 2 different rucksacks depending on the camera angle. In some shots, he is wearing his usual pack, which has broad shoulder straps with a narrow diagonal white stripe on each. And in other shots, he's wearing a totally different leather backpack with much narrower shoulder straps.
I just picture Kate coming up behind him like every few seconds and switching them out.
Oh, hey, I forgot something in that one. Can I borrow it? Oh, no, wait, it was actually that one. No, my bad. Oh, you're going to think I'm so silly.
She's doing this whole slapstick routine behind him, and he just doesn't even notice.
Just while he's distracted talking to Sawyer, just like looping his arms into the straps over and over again.
It could be my headcanon there is that it's Sawyer's point of view, and his eyes are so fucked up from trying to read that the bag keeps changing colors.
Oh, that is some nice headcanon. I love headcanon. Like shit that you just make up, but fits within the canon of the story. I love it.
Trying to forgive egregious errors by writers in other departments.
There's another goof in this very scene. The sweat on Jack's shirt around his neck and upper chest disappears and reappears to varying degrees throughout the scene.
I think I noticed that actually.
I didn't notice any of this shit. I must be blind as a bat. Fuck mutant vision. I can't see shit in these episodes. And then I got one final piece, right? And this is the most interesting. Saved it for last. While Boone is climbing up to the plane, you can clearly see the blurry places at his waist where the cables are holding him up.
Oh, damn. So they just blur that out in the edit?
Yeah, they literally remove them out and it's just super blurry there around his waist. Now, these are very quick cuts, so you kind of have to be looking for them, but I went back and I looked for them.
Here's me thinking that Ian Somerhalder was just a pure tank.
Well, I was going to say, like, he's the talent. I mean, if the actor were to fall and, like, kill himself in this scene, they wouldn't be able to continue. But
I picture like they didn't plan on writing Boone out, but he dies, and they're like, "All right, let's use it."
Yeah, it's his identical twin that's now flogging whiskey on Instagram.
And they still have to film the radio scene, so they just Weekend at Bernie's him, and someone like puppets his dead body.
And that's it. That's all I got.
Oof. We made it, man. We did it.
So that's it. We're out the other end of Deus Ex Machina. God has indeed come down from the machine and granted us peace with this episode. It's such a good fucking episode, man.
Fuck yeah. And hey, listeners, why don't you be God coming down out of the machine for us and grant us Jorge Garcia on our podcast? Hashtag Cans with Jorge.
Remember the last episode? I said there was one scene where Jorge had like this halo behind him while he was in Australia.
Yeah, exactly. God.
He is our savior. We're going to start the religion of Jorge Garcia, waiting for our savior to return.
Oh, can you imagine? We're waiting for the first coming onto our podcast.
All right, ladies, gentlemen, and gender rebels, that is it from episode 19, Deus Ex Machina. Dave, what's your theory this week?
My theory is that Kate tipped Hurley off about Sawyer's glasses that morning, and he spent the entire morning and afternoon coming up with the steamrolled Harry Potter joke. And then just happened to walk by.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave us a review, send us an email. All the information on where you can find us is going to be in the credits after this. That's it for this week. And don't forget to take part in spreading our hashtag Cans with Jorge. We are determined to get Jorge Garcia onto our podcast. It is meant to be. And don't forget, guys, you haven't lost anything till you've lost the plot.
Good night.
Take care. Lost the Plot is produced by Dave and I. Artwork by Jimmy Purcell of BeanBetterComic.com. Music by Noel Brennan of No Exit. Check out No Exit wherever you stream your music. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at LostThePlotLads or email us at losttheplotlads@gmail.com.